to another episode of Two Scrippers One Poll. It's been a week. It has been a week. I don't even know where to start, honestly, because this is my third time starting this recording. I just felt like I kept stumbling over my words or whatever. But let's start this episode off with a breath. So if you're driving, keep your eyes on the road, but listen to the sound of my voice. If you are doing something else, that you can close your eyes for a second. I want us to take a little breath. So position yourself, pull your shoulders down and back, long neck. And when you breathe, I want you to think of there's a string attached to your belly button, and pull in and up, rising your chest as you breathe in through your nose, and then release it as you breathe out your mouth. Okay, so let's try this. Close your eyes, breathe in and out. And you want to fully exhale. I kind of shortened my inhale because I was still talking. But yes, when you're breathing, that string. Okay, let's try this again. Breathe in and out. I've been doing yoga, y'all. Consistently for the past 2 weeks now. I found a side boob shirt, y'all. My baby is about to have a baby. I went to Juan's baby shower today, and that's what made me, I'm thinking, I was nervous because I had on a side boob shirt, and I was like, please don't let my titty fly out at the baby shower. That's gonna be crazy. But also, my nigga didn't wear a Burberry shirt. Number one rule is you gotta have a baby shower meatballs, and you gotta have a Burberry shirt, and he did not have on the Burberry shirt, but he had on the dad shoes. I was like, okay, you practicing. I like that for you. But the meatballs, it was a moment where I was really about to be heartbroken, because I texted him earlier in the day and I was like, y'all finna have baby shower meatballs? This nigga texted me no, straight N-O. No, not even a period. I was like, yo, what? Not knowing that he didn't have on a Burberry shirt, even though I joked about it before and I was like, you gonna have it, but I wanted him to have a Burberry shirt with some airbrush wings on the back. I don't know why, but I just felt like that was really what it was given. And he was like, here, no, I'm not doing that. And I was like, what? I'll make it for you. And I didn't, but maybe that's why he didn't do it, because I dropped the ball on that. So I take blame. Have another baby so I can get you that shirt. But yeah, he said no about the meatballs, so it really hit me right in the chest. I was like, god damn, that's the best part. That's the only reason why I be going to baby showers, is baby shower meatballs. Y'all got all these gremlins running around. Y'all need the meatballs, okay? Y'all know why I'm here. And so I texted him back with a sad face, and I said, I really hope this is a joke. I'll see you later, OG. So when I got there and saw he did not have on a Burberry shirt, once they blessed the food and I got in line, somebody ahead of me, badonka-donk, shout out to you, Bianca and Chelsea. I had so much fun with them. They're my friends. We used to cheer together. I love them. But one of them saw the meatballs, and I was like, okay, we had one violation, not two. But I really thought, and I said something to him, and he was like, I was running around. I wasn't worried about no fucking meatballs. And I said, yeah, you're right. So yeah, I was just really scared that my titty was gonna fall out. And also, Crandall, if you listening to this or whatever, he's a motherfucking cheater. Okay, where's my damn baby bottle? I was in a contest where we had to drink the juice. They put fucking alcohol in that bitch, first of all, and it was the tiniest little hole. So I'm chugging that bitch, and it was crazy because Javon and Juan was on the side like, oh, Kia got this, she be sucking nipples. I'm like, that's crazy for you to say that, but you right. But they was really just in the ear like, oh, Kia got this. So I'm like, it's me, Crandall, and some old nigga just all sipping. The old nigga was struggling. So then Crandall talking about something, he finished, but my nigga, it was still juice in there. So I called him out while I was still sipping. So we going neck and neck. So then he stopped again, but he still had juice in his shit. Granted, it was a little corner, but that was still something. I cleaned that bitch out, but it's okay. It's okay. You got this. If you happen to be listening to this, the next baby shower, oh, I'm putting your ass in the dirt, nigga, because cheaters don't prosper. Okay. But yeah, it's crazy to think, because even me, Crandall, and Juan known each other since elementary school. Like, that's crazy. And for him to be having a baby. And then Miss Batten, shout out to you, my middle school technology teacher. I had her second semester of my 8th grade year, but she's always been cool people. Even like everybody had her before me. I just happened to squeeze into her class last minute. They let me in. But I almost went without her. But she's like, I gotta get my yearly picture with y'all. Like, just to see so many people. We growing up, like, God, we getting old. Jesus Christ. And it's the 10 years since I graduated high school. But then when you see shit like this, like, I've known this man since 5th grade and he having a baby. That's crazy. But yeah, then I thought this nigga was having his baby shower in fucking Laurel. So, I have gotten out of being the first person there. I already said that. I'm not that person no more. I don't need to be on time. So I'm taking my sweet ass time, and I had to go to work. I had to stop at my job to like exchange some keys. So I'm like, all right, cool, it's in Laurel. I'm gonna pull up to my job real quick, then I'm gonna swing that way. I'm not gonna be too late. I'm leaving my neighborhood, and something's like, let me go look at the address now, because I have no idea where I'm going. I don't know why I thought it was in Laurel, but I just knew it was in Laurel. I put an address. That bitch said Waldorf. I said, oh, god damn, I did not know I was gonna have to catch a flight today. Like, I would have packed some bags with me. And it's crazy because it was a 50-minute drive, right? And 50 minutes is nothing. For real. Like, if I love driving. I'm a road trip girly. And another drive that I have to make is an hour multiple times a week. So I'm just like, it's really not that bad. You know what I'm saying? But it was something about the drive there and back. I think the drive there was agony because I really thought I was walking into no meatballs. You wrong for that, Juan. You are. But that was like on the way home, I was like, this road is never gonna fucking end. And I used to crack jokes about Waldorf being far, because that's just, if you live in the DMV, you crack jokes about Waldorf. That's just what it is. But when I was briefly living there, it really wasn't that bad. And I think that's because I was so used to the commute, because that's how I feel about other drives. But it was just like, never have I ever taken a flight it felt like the plane got delayed at least 3 times, and I just didn't understand, like, why was there traffic on a Sunday? It don't make no fucking sense. It was, oh, Jesus Christ. But yeah, that's that on that. Next week's episode is it does not have footage because I did a recording with Diamond. Shout out to my friend, who I did an episode with, episode 5, Dark Solitude, and it doesn't have footage because she's still in a position that, she can't have it out that she be pole dancing, because people be peopling, and corporations and places don't really understand, and everything's over sexualized, and not everybody has the freedom to do what they do and be who they are and express their interests in because there was a conversation that I observed, because I didn't partake in it, but centered around that idea of, like, when we're posting videos of people in the studio or people in the background and stuff, just like, giving people asking for consent, essentially, if people are all right with being in the background of the video or being the subject of a video. And under, there was like, well, you don't want to be sexualized, wear clothes and things like that. But then it was like a conversation about, it's not about being naked or not. Like, there are clothes out there that are sticky to help you pole dance, but it's just the act itself and the origins from which pole dancing come from. Pole dancing is still very much associated with strip club and strip culture, because, and I think sometimes as pole dancers, if that's not how you started out, or if that's not what you're exposed to, sometimes we forget that, and we also and I think we forget that multiple things can be true at once, and other people have different experiences and circumstances. So because, when I was teaching, I had my poll page on private because, not because I was ashamed or anything, like my coworkers knew, but I couldn't really run the risk of my page being private and one of my students seeing it, and then the next thing I know, like, the whole 12th grade is talking about Miss P is half naked on a goddamn pole swinging around, and then the next thing I know, I'm on PG County News about being fired because I'm doing this, that, and the third, So, yeah. And I brought that up because I've just had a lot of contextual conversations. There was another something that I'm going to talk about talks about feminization, also known as sissification. So it is a kink or a sexual interest of being feminized. So that might look like wearing feminine clothing or taking on feminine roles, or traditionally feminine roles like cooking or cleaning or other things, wearing makeup or learning how to walk in heels, different things, just feminizing someone. And so I was an observer of another conversation where they were talking about it's a push in the industry to stop using sissification and use feminization, and more specifically as it pertains to the word sissy. And I think context is super important in this case because in BDSM, understand that everything is consensual. I'm not just going around calling people sissy or calling them bitch or calling them slaves or calling them whatever else I'm calling them. When I'm tweeting, it's to the general public to appeal to the people who want to be called those things. I am fine calling someone a sissy if that is what they want to be called. So, yeah. And so I bring both of those up in the most awkward way, I feel like, because I always have to do things awkward. In the conversation that I had with Diamond, I was talking about being excited to go back to school, and I missed my cohort, and how I actually felt, I think I talked about that part, in terms of being prepared, because y'all, I actually read the syllabus, all of my syllabi, before the semester started, and I felt prepared. I did the homework. Like, grad school started like a week or two before school, so I actually read my assignments. I didn't start any artwork yet because I wanted more clarification once we started in class, and I have a couple pieces that I want to talk about today. So I've just been in the thick of that, and I haven't been recording because, one, just trying to make sure I stay on track, and I'm on track for school, and of course it's a lot of work again. Oh my god, it's so much work, but I'm actually having fun, and I'm making a lot of artwork that has been interesting. And I have a lot of counter transference and transference happening. And transference is when a client projects onto you, and counter transference is like your reaction to the client, whatever it is they're talking about or experiencing, and like you're having kind of a reaction with that. So just seeing a lot of examples of transference, and have been experiencing a lot of counter transference. But I've had a little bit of transference too in making some of this. So let me just get back on track. So we were talking, there was a brief moment where we were talking about feminization, and it just so happened that night, the first night of class, in my process class, in process, we're talking about just the artistic process, and also processing, how, like, what you're experiencing in session from clients and things like that, because you, as a therapist, you experience a lot of secondhand trauma. Like, you have to show up and hold space for other people who are going through things while you're also going through things, and a lot of us are going through the same thing in some way, shape, or form. Like when it comes down to experiencing feelings, like we might not have the same circumstance, but we have the same emotions in how, yeah. So just a lot. So we were talking about feminization, and that evening in class we started this film called Marwin Call, and it's about this man Mark Hogenkamp who one night, April 8th, 2000, he was at a bar, and when he left, five men attacked him and nearly beat him to death. Like, he had to get his face reconstructed. He had to learn how to walk, talk, eat, like all of that again. He was in a hospital for 40 days, and then they discharged him because I'm sorry, this damn mic. Well, really, I'm not sorry. I really only use this mic to record now because I take the audio from GarageBand and overlay it on here so that it sounds better. So I'm still in the habit of saying I'm sorry because this mic be sounding crazy. But also, like, that's why y'all need to give me new mics, please. So that I don't have to do that overlay. I'm trying to, I got so much work to do. We trying to make my life easier. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, he got discharged from the hospital because his insurance could no longer pay it, and it was like he needed so much therapy that right when it started to get better for him, and he's just starting to like get a little bit back, the U.S. sick care, because it's sick care, not healthcare system, snatched it right from him. Oh, there we go. I can hear myself better and clearer now. So, he had to create his own therapy, and what he ended up doing, he suffered a traumatic brain injury, and that's what, losing his memory, and it really just hit me like, what would it be like to just one day, you're fine, you're living life, and I put fine in quotation marks actually, because one day you're fine, or you're living this quote unquote normal life, but what is normal? That's another conversation for another day. But you're living life one day, and then you wake up the next day not knowing who you are, where you are, how you got there, and just being fucked up, like physically, literally fucked up. So it was really hitting, and it struck an emotional chord with me. And then he had hand tremors, so he could no longer draw, and he picked up this new artistic form he created essentially a whole nother universe. He had a alter ego, which I believe the alter ego's name, the doll that he used to represent him, his name was Hoagie, I believe. And I think it's funny because I think his doll looks like Nicolas Cage, and then probably like 2 days after I saw the film, I saw a movie with Nicolas Cage, and I was like, yeah, that's him. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But in this world, his character crash landed into this town, and it's called Marwin Call. And, he doesn't know who he is, how he got there, but all of these women dolls save him. And he's like the only man in town, and these dolls, these women play so many roles. There's so much that I could say about this film because it really just like it struck so many chords. Mark in real life was talking about how he'll get memories, but they come to him in still pictures with no context, and he doesn't know. He has like pictures of a wedding that he had, but he doesn't really remember being married. He doesn't remember conversations with her. He doesn't remember like these feelings and stuff. I was just like, wow. So in this ultra universe, it's like his chance to rewrite his story, but also process like what he's feeling. And as in the beginning of the story, it's like a lot of talk about this fascination with women, like, and I'm thinking that he said that for 4 years before the attack, he was like essentially a raging alcoholic, so he hadn't been with a woman. And then in the past 5 years, it's been since his attack, so it's been 9 years since he's been with a woman. And, I'm just thinking that this fixation, and I hate to call it a fixation because I feel like there's a negative connotation to fixation. But this like attraction to women, I'm thinking that's coming from not being with a woman for so long. But then when my teacher first proposed it to us, she skipped through it and there were parts missing. So then I was just really just drawn to it. There was like a scene, his mom was in the beginning of it, and she showed her doll, because he has dolls. He has alter ego dolls for people in his town. So he's recreating his life within this world. And Marwin Call, the name comes from his name, Mark. And then I didn't hear it, but when we were discussing in class, apparently Wendy is the name of the woman who saved him that night, who found him after the attack. And then Colleen is the name of the first woman that he loved. It was his neighbor. So there's even still so much power kind of in that name. And he had like a doll named after Colleen, and dolls named after other women in his town. And Colleen was like his first heartbreak, his first love, but his first heartbreak, because she was married with kids. And it's like, okay, so he is in love with her and has these feelings for her, but he can't have her. He hasn't been with a woman for 9 years because of alcoholism and then the attack. I don't know if y'all can hear that, but somebody is yelling in the hallway. It's a lot of noises happening right now. You had the woman who saved him, and just he's talking about sex. He has this like hyperfixation on just women and feminine presence. And what the fuck? I think somebody fighting. This is why you mind your business. Anyway, so then I was talking about the different examples. His mom. So I thought it was interesting too, because his mom was in the beginning talking a little bit of like having to watch her son go through that process, but we really don't hear from his mom again. And then he has his mom as a bartender, which I also thought it was giving what seems to be a lack of relationship that his mom. And see, I be like looking at things from a therapy lens. I be like, dang, there's just so much there. And he had his mom as a bartender. And it was a part where he had said, and this part stuck out to me the first time, and then it hit harder as I finished the film. Like everything, when I watched it the second time, everything hit so much harder because it all made sense now. But he had said his mom came over and he was like trying to show her like, hey mom, look, your doll is bartending. And he was like, she just said, oh, okay. And just kept walking, didn't even look at it. And you could hear the pain in his voice. And he's like, like, she just said, oh, and that's nice, and kept walking. Like, she didn't even look at it. But, it's my mom. I got to have her in there. It's my mom. And I'm like, and he talks about how he wishes that he had somebody to play these dolls with him. And he had a partner that he could talk to and be with. And then there were parts where he was talking about how he owns like over 200 pairs of women's shoes, and when he can't focus or he needs an idea, he'll step into the women's shoes. So so then it comes out in the film that the reason he was attacked that night is because while he was drunk, somehow in a conversation, and he doesn't remember this, the only reason why he's able to even say this is because he said that he, from the court documents, that's the reason that was given, that the 5 people said that they attacked him because he said he cross-dresses. And it's just like, it really, when I heard that made my heart hurt so bad. That like, why are you, it's one thing if you don't want to, nobody's making you put on a dress or put on women's shoes or pantyhose or whatever the case may be. Nobody's forcing that on you. And so I don't understand why people just get so upset that someone else is doing that for them. Like, what does that have to do with you? Nothing. You are upsetting yourself and putting someone else in danger because you don't like what they're doing, although it has nothing to do with you. Now, again, I don't know what other context of the conversation or whatever happened, but the basis, like, to beat someone nearly to death because they want to wear a skirt and pantyhose and shoes is absolutely insane. It may so when I found that, I was just even more just like hurt. So in this world that he has created, it has a World War II theme, and there's like GI dolls and the Barbies, and he just talks about how, you know, there's a bar there. His alter ego doesn't drink alcohol. He drinks coffee, which I think is so cute. And his alter ego will sometimes wear stockings and stuff. And there was a scene where he had started this. Well, I'm gonna just show this picture here. And I drew it. This is my art piece that I was processing it. I'm getting emotional, so let me regroup. Let me take that breath. Breathe with me, y'all. Let's breathe in. And out. Because it was just, the film has been stuck on my mind, and there's so much like this, y'all. I've been taking notes. Literally, my teacher gave us this paper with 10 questions, and the movie's like an hour and 20 minutes, and it took me 3 hours to watch it when I actually watched it on my own because I was just taking so many notes. And I just, like, I want to make sure that I get the point across and I do him justice because I think it was just so powerful. And so in his process, because this is what we were talking about, the women's clothing for him was powerful in many ways because that is what reconnected him to his prior self. And it's interesting because it's like that is positive in a way because it can, you know, not having any memory or connection to your prior self, but to still have this come through, like that is a part of your identity and who you are, and to have that part still be relevant, but then also thinking about how like that part of your identity is also what got you here because someone else couldn't regulate and just mind their business. But then the role it plays in it helps him ground himself and be able to think about how to do things and what, you know. And you see his alter ego doll playing with that, wearing feminine clothing as well. The role of the camera, I may or may not have said this part already, but he was saying how he sees his memory in still images. So this camera, you know, he'll set the dolls up in a certain way and play out these stories. Like they were talking about, his friends were in the documentary, and he has like dolls that represent the people in his life, and they are really getting into it. His friend was talking about, you know, when he's angry in real life, he's able to take himself to this alternate universe and act that out and process those emotions safely for him and other people within this alternate universe that he has created. And he's like creating this therapy for himself. And he literally says, I have so many quotes for him because I was just so, it's like, he said, I built Marwin Call for me, for my therapy. And there's more to the quote because this was just his private thing, and one day he's walking down the road and somebody saw him and asked questions, so then it ended up people were interested in it, so he ended up getting an exhibit. And he lives in New York, but like in like rural I don't, that's a weird word, New York, but the exhibit was in the city and he hasn't been there. Like he's off in this other essentially world, And the rest of the quote said, and now it's like everybody wants to play in it or be a part of it and everything. And I don't want all of that. It's there. I'm getting a little concerned. Um, it's like this is the last one thing I don't ever want taken from me, and it seems like it is, but theoretically it's not. It's still mine. And he was just talking about like he built Marwin Call for him, and processing those emotions of like sharing it with the world is a good thing, but it's also mine, and I'm now I'm re-exposing myself to the world. And one of his friends was saying that they overheard somebody, the camera in his role. Sorry, y'all. The role the camera plays is being able to document, and I thought that was an interesting connection, talking about his memories, that he'll get these images of pictures, and not having context, but by photographing his world, he can provide that context, and he's able to change it. So maybe he had talked about like, he don't really know, he just snaps pictures, he doesn't know anything about a camera. So when he sends them off to get developed, if they come back and they're wrong, he'll redo the shot. So he has that freedom to explore these multiple realities or possibilities, and recreate them, provide a new narrative. So the camera is important in that way, being able to document, and that's how he was able to exhibit. Like he brought some of his dolls and his structures, but the exhibit was largely pictures. And one of his friends had overheard somebody saying, let's go look at pictures of real war. And his friend made the comment like, this is Mark's real war. This is something that he has to deal with and live through every single day. His life was changed because of the attack, and this is him processing it. Like, yeah, it was so much there. And to watch things from a dom and therapist perspective is interesting. I could talk about this film all day, but I have other things that I want to talk about and other artwork I want to show. So yeah, in this piece, like the black rim was me thinking of blacking out and coming to. And I wanted the action of the work to be in the center, to kind of be either like in a circular, to kind of be reminiscent of opening your eyes. So that's kind of the haziness in the black, opening your eyes, in coming to this new life, but also mimicking kind of like a camera lens, for the documentation. And I wrote in red oil pastels, ha ha ha, and who am I, and like these little, almost like it's like a squeezed in square, if that makes sense. But it's like you see it in cartoons when people are like stressed. It's like a stress symbol. And did I say, and I also wrote, who am I? Because you're waking up, like what, and he's on this search to find himself. And so then surrounding the circle is supposed to be like a shoe print, like a heel shoe print, to kind of suggest the importance of the women's shoes in his process. Because we had to make response art to the movie, and also talk about like his process and how this was therapy for him. And so then I didn't have pantyhose, but I had a fishnet, so I used that around the rim too. And then in the center, he doesn't explicitly say anything about his religion, but his work, even before the accident, there's a lot of religious iconography, like crosses and things, and there's a church in his town, and a lot of key things happen in the church. Like, there's a scene where he essentially reenacts the night of his attack, and because it's based in World War II, I believe him and the women, I want to say that they're supposed to be British, and then there's German soldiers, and everybody's, his rule of the town is everybody's free to be who they want to be. Everybody's cool, and just let everybody be who they want to be. We're here for laughs, hugs, drinking, like a good time. And then the enemy is SS, and they're always just like, I want to drink. Where's the bar? They're always talking about the bar. And there's a scene where he has the SS soldiers kidnapping his alter ego doll and taking him to the church and torturing him. And he has a doll who's his wife, Anna. Anna and a few other of the women dolls come to his rescue and save him. And there was just like a lot of other powerful scenes where when the SS soldiers first arrived, all of the townspeople had like went to go hide. I forget where, but there was one doll who essentially sacrificed herself because she wasn't going to tell the SS soldiers like where everybody was and where the bar was, and just a lot of key things happened in that church. So there was I had painted, well, first, I don't know if I showed it or, yeah, I did. This image from, and I'm gonna just hold this closer to the screen because there was a part where he was talking about he was nervous to do the exhibit because he wanted to show up dressed in his women's clothing, but he didn't want to be judged. He was already sharing so much of himself. And in order to be comfortable, that's what he wanted to do. So he had this powerful shot of his doll getting dressed, contemplating what to wear, and he put like the stockings on his doll, and then one of the dolls who's his wife, another doll who is like the town witch and wants to be with him, and like does time travel and fixes things and always comes to his rescue. And it's like, if his first love, Colleen, when she broke his heart, that doll killed her off. It was hilarious. But that doll, and then two other ones who I'm not sure exactly who their role were, but they're comforting him. And I just thought that was just so beautiful. And it really spoke to the importance of the dolls in his process, and like how they play all of these roles for him. They play his friend in a way, they play his therapist. They also fill in that maternal role for him. They fulfill a lover's role for him. Like they're playing all of these different essential relationships that he's lacking in real life. So how beautiful that is for his process. So I took a scene from there. Well, I traced this image because I didn't just want to cut this out and paste it in there. I traced this image because I think that they talk about it, but they don't really talk about how important this is for him. Like, it's kind of like a secondary message, I kind of feel like. But so I wanted it to be kind of subtle because, yeah. So I traced that in on tracing paper, and then I painted over that with watercolor, the bench and a stained glass window from the church. And then I answered the question, who am I? And I just put who I am in here. And then I drew like a little frame of like when there's a recording on the old school cameras with the filter where it's like the plus sign and then the squares, like that camera filter. And then I pasted a picture of his doll holding the welcome to my wing call sign. Yeah, so much there. Beautiful film. Mar Wincall, if you ever get to watch it, like, yeah. What else? What other artwork can I talk about? Right here. So this is the I kind of have a title for this series, but I'm not. This is the piece that I mentioned in the episode that I came back to, this collage. And this is the first and only one of the series right now. I still have more, but I got to finish doing my receipts. Y'all know it's tax season. But I finished this piece finally. And I think I love it so much. But I am mad because I didn't realize once I poured the resin on top of it, it erased it lifted all the ink from the receipts. So there are parts where you can see the initial like writing on the canvas, and I had circled the different amounts with the red Sharpie, but you don't see nothing because it just went straight through the canvas. But yeah, I really like how this turned out, but now I know moving forward that I have to put some kind of sealant over the piece before I pour resin, so that I can keep the receipt, keep the ink and the integrity of the receipt. That's what I was trying to say. Um, don't fall over. Don't fall over. Oh my God. Okay. What else am I going to talk about? Y'all, I made a schedule. I've loosely been following. It's been a week. It is. What am I think I said that already. That this. See, that I mean that's. I had a misunderstanding with a friend. I've been loosely scheduling. Loosely following a schedule. I feel like for the most part, I've gotten a hand of school, and I've actually been setting aside time for work. I haven't been doing as much FinDom stuff because now that I'm back in the thick of school, that takes priority. But it's all hard. And I had a misunderstanding with a friend earlier this week that really just like it really took a lot of energy out of me. I was really upset about it, and I still am upset about it, but I'm a little bit more removed, and I feel like I have processed a little bit more of my feelings. I haven't talked to them since, and oh God. I'm hoping that we'll be able to both come down from our emotions and have a conversation, so that we can move past it. But it was a lot, and so I have been this whole weekend. I've been doing so much homework, and it's bittersweet because, like I said, I've been looking forward to this semester, and I've been having a lot of fun, and I'm really excited about the projects. Like, for my psychopathology class, we're reading the DSM and learning about different diagnoses. So the project for this semester is our teacher picked out 14 different diagnoses, and we have to create these like either 4x6 or 5x7 cards, making a visual representation of how we interpret the diagnosis and what will help us remember it. And then on the back, we have to do like the definition of the diagnoses. It's 8:21 already. Goddamn. And then the code for like billing insurance purposes, and then a few more things. And then with each set of cards we turn in, we have to do a reflection. So the first set was bipolar 1, depression, anxiety, and OCD. And earlier when I was talking about transference, and this is part of what we have to write in this paper, but it was like, it was weird. So I actually read DSM-5 I read the DSM-5 TR for bipolar 1 when I read this card, and it's just like I'm reading it and I'm like, dang, this could be me. But then it's like, once you get to certain criteria, okay, now I see why that wouldn't be considered, why I wouldn't be considered for this. And it's like really hard not to self-diagnose when you're reading things, but then you have those like caveats. But then it's also talking about, you got to consider cultural considerations. And one of the things about bipolar was talking about excuse me, it was experiencing the depressive state of it after, what was it, like life-changing events, like having a baby, or maybe marriage. Was marriage one of them? I know having a baby was one. And then experiencing manic episodes after high achievement experiences, like graduating, getting a new job, things of that nature. And why did I bring that part up? Oh, and then considering different cultures where there is a push for high satisfaction things. And I know that doesn't make sense, but I keep yawning and I'm losing it. But it was interesting, particularly with bipolar 1 and OCD, because I know that these are two diagnoses that I do not have, and thinking about how we just casually will call people bipolar, and that adds to stigma, or how we'll say like we do have something that we might be a little bit obsessive about, or we might have certain compulsions. Like I know me, for whatever reason, whenever I go to the bathroom and I'm washing my hands, if there's paper towels, I'll always pull 3 paper towels, and I've been doing this for years. And it's just, it don't be feeling thick enough. I've been trying not to do that as much, but it's something I'll do. I tend to do things in threes. And this is before I got into numerology. But the thing with OCD is that it's like people who have OCD, they're drawn to do these things. They have to, and they don't always want to. Like, and it's to the point where it's an anxiety disorder that it's like, you have this compulsion or this obsession to the point where it detriments you. So like even the hand washing thing, like you might have this fear of contaminations and germs, so you're washing your hands so much to the point where it might get to like having a skin rash or some other kind of condition, because you're so aggressive, like you're aggressively washing your hands and exposing your hands to that much like abrasion and water. And so it was just thinking about how I experienced transference in the way of thinking about how I can see some elements of my character within these diagnoses, and thinking about how I've misused them or misrepresented them, if that makes sense. And then with depression and anxiety, that was kind of strange, because I have dealt with both of them, and thinking about, like, I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety initially when I was in middle school, and to be honest, like, it's a blur. I don't really remember that time. Like, in 8th grade, me and my boyfriend broke up, and I was so heartbroken, and it's like, was it really depression per se, or just like my first heartbreak? And maybe that was my first heartbreak that like kind of triggered it. But then when I think about like depression, and that's not to negate that in middle school, so I had those diagnoses and I was aware of it, but I don't really know if I connected with them, you know. Like, I would say it if people said it, but it didn't really feel accurate. And it wasn't until college, really, my sophomore year, where, oh God, I had experienced, that's where I really felt like, that's where I was like, okay, this diagnosis makes sense for me. And just losing so much weight, and my grades were suffering, and just really feeling tired, and not having the energy to do anything, and contemplate, and just give it. I don't want to say I've never felt suicidal, but I know that I've never had intention to carry it out. But the thoughts were there, more passive thoughts. It's just like, oh, you know, if I didn't wake up, that would be great. And I think that's also something that we do in one of my groups is, we start each session off with just like a general check-in and a suicidality check-in, because I think that it's honestly normal for us to have those feelings. And when we don't talk about things, it furthers the stigma. And knowing that other people are feeling the same way, if we just if we communicated, things would be so much better, you know. But yeah, the crying, and then I think about, granted, a lot of my depressive episodes stemmed from some kind of breakup. Niggas are depressing. But thinking about the state that I was in, and just like I really felt like I felt like a hole was coming out of my stomach. and felt like a void, and I was just existing. So this card was kind of weird to do, and I feel really far removed from the depressive part of my life. And I haven't, my last depressive episode was 2022, the summer of 2022. And before that, I had kind of been leading into it while I was in school. Like while I was still teaching, it was slowly going down into like a real depressive episode. But that breakup was like the icing on the cake. And then before that, it was probably it was after my breakup with Crazy Ass. That one was really bad. Like I had to take a leave of absence from work, and I did not eat. Like I ate once a day. I sat in bed and watched The Office for I don't even know how long. It was real, but that's not and I always lose weight during depressive episodes because I don't be doing shit. So when I bounce back, but now I'm at a place in my life where I want to be honest. I don't have time to fucking sugarcoat shit no more. And again, I really want to normalize that, like, even when you think somebody's doing good, like, all of us, we're human. We all go through shit. And unless we're talking about what we go through, everybody's just going to keep assuming that we exist in our own fucking vacuums and nobody feels the same way. So what was I talking about? I was talking about being depressed. Oh, when people be like, "Oh my God, girl, you lost so much weight. What did you do?" I was depressed. I wasn't eating. I was in the house bored, crying over some nigga. That's what that was, okay? And a little bit, but this last weight loss, like, it was a little bit of depression and it was a little bit of pole dancing. But I really didn't notice, like, I don't know. I really didn't notice my weight. But this time it bothered me because I've said this before, that as long as I've been trying to lose as much weight, I lost a lot of weight, and it wasn't until one day, like, I stepped on a scale when it said 149. Mind you, I haven't been 149 in over 10 years. I don't know what I weigh now because I don't get on the scale that often. I try not to. But it was just like, when I did that day and it said 149, it was a smack in the face. And then I started to note, I was already noticing how people kept commenting on my weight and was thinking of it as a good way, and this good thing. And I guess it was like, and in that moment I wasn't depressed. Like, and I thought I looked good. I feel like I looked good, but it was almost like a out of body experience to have that. Like, I knew I looked good and I knew I lost weight, but I didn't realize I lost that much weight. And then I just kept losing weight. And it's like, I'm not doing anything. I am eating. I don't understand why I'm losing all this weight. And I wasn't depressed. And everybody's like, one of the first 3 comments, "Oh my God, you look so good, blah, 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 blah." But it's like, half of my closet don't fit. And half of my closet still doesn't fit. Like, I have to rewear the same outfits all the time because I can't afford to get a new wardrobe. And also, like, my shit is just too big. I'm rapping. I did not intend on going on that long. But anyway, and then anxiety. I feel like this is definitely the one I experienced the most. Of just like all these thoughts and balancing the negative and not feeling like I have enough time, or beating myself up for when I don't get things done. Like, but I've been trying to honor taking my time, and everything happens in the right moment, and whatever, everything happens in the right moment, and it doesn't need to be done right now. So when I had that misunderstanding with my friend, like, I was trying to be present that day because I had a lot of things that I had to do in terms of my internship and doing observations and holding space and being present for others. So I had to, like, be present and aware for other people, but I was also present and aware for myself. And I was just feeling so much pain, like literal pain. And I got home and I was like, I gotta do this work. I gotta da. Y'all, right on this couch, a bitch was knocked the fuck out. And I felt bad at first, but then I was like, that's what I needed. I needed to just go into a coma, essentially, is what I did. And then when I woke up, I started these cards. And yeah, I'm gonna start posting stuff in the story or on the page of, like, the artwork for those of you who don't want to come over to Instagram. I'm not Instagram, YouTube. But yeah, so it was weird doing anxiety and depression, having lived through it and currently living through it. Um, and then those ideas of like trying to reframe and how I look at other diagnoses of like, you know, yeah. Um, I think that's all the artwork. Hey y'all. All 2024, guess what we're doing? Masturbating. You know we love masturbating over here at 2S1P. Right now in my hand, I have my handy dandy motherfucking thrust. And you can have yours too. Head on over to Balesa and use code BB2S1P. Get her done. So you can masturbate along with me. First of all, I'm ashy. I believe in ashiness, 100%. Strike a pose. Honestly, this should just be called Chopped and Screwed because these edits are about to be crazy. Anyway, okay. Would you use I wonder if you take like a cucumber or something and if it fit through, but then you wouldn't have anything to stop it. Like you would have to, I would assume like if you took your strap on harness and then maybe like you put a lot of tape on the one end and then stick it through the harness, the tape is so thick that it's so thick that it won't go through. Hmm. I would test that out, but honestly, I'm not using a strap on anybody. I have my strap on is honestly just for he messaged me on the 4th and said, I have to do some thinking today. I'm a 59-year-old white man with a lot to lose. I don't doubt your sincerity in any way. My family would not understand my completely black owned fantasy, let alone a completely black owned reality. Temptress, I feel like we are at a point of no return. He's so fucking dramatic too. Like, oh my God, he gets on my nerves. Temptress, I feel like we are at a point of no return here. My nigga, we've only been talking for 2 days. Like, relax. Fucking relax. It has definitely been a blast, but after this, it seems like it'll be more reality than fantasy. I will be doing some soul searching today, trying to realize that this is how it will be. I need to ask you, honestly, are we rushing this? Isn't this tantamount to slavery after this step? Sending the $25 because you said so. And I said, it is only slavery if you wish for it to be. At this moment, it is not a total power exchange. You relinquish as much control as you feel you are ready for. I wanted to address your Twitter message via email to give you a response with more thought. Here are some things you consider. Family dynamics definitely make things tricky. Questions to ponder. Your wife is a Trump lover, and I put like a little melting face, and I sense that the rest must be really racist and anti-black with a combination of not understanding the world of kink and fetish. What sets you apart from them? How do you use your privilege as a white man to be an ally to my people? Why do you desire to be completely black owned? Other than being attracted to a black woman, what is driving you to turn your fantasy into reality? What would being completely black owned mean to you? What does that even look like? Jesus Christ. Yeah, so what's today? Today is February 4th, but yesterday, February 3rd, I attended this National Black HIV and AIDS Awareness Day event, which is actually February 7th. So by the time this episode, let me move this mic. By the time this episode comes out, Um, it will have already passed, so mark your calendars for next year. Um, but wow, it was really beautiful. They had um panelists and different, it was a health clinic on Dennis Avenue in Silver Spring. They do testing, they set you up with services. Um and they have prep, which is, y'all, okay, HIV and AIDS can affect anyone. um any and everyone is at risk, and it was really beautiful. I don't even know where to start because that was like a really, it was emotional for me. So I've shared how my mom, the day I was born, my mom was diagnosed with HIV. But so was my brother, and I've never said that before because I always wanted to respect his privacy, and now I'm just so proud of him. Like, he participated in an article for POV. Is it POV or Pause? I think it's Pause magazine. I'm blanking. It's over there though. He submitted part of his story, and him and my mom, for the first time ever, shared this stage together and told their stories. And I'm tearing up because I'm just so proud to see, and to this is the first time in my 27 years that I've heard out of my brother's mouth his experience, and to watch him and think about, like, hearing it out his mouth and having lived beside him, knowing that there were some feelings going on but not really knowing what he went through and how he was feeling or why he did the certain things he did, and to hear him just speak so proudly as a lifetime survivor was just really beautiful. And then, my mom commented, I maybe one day I will share that, but maybe I won't. I want their permission first, but I was so proud of them. So um the event, they were talking about um how we're trying to raise awareness about HIV and AIDS, and this push for people to take care. And it's not just a health issue, it's a racial disparity issue. It's all these things are interconnected. And this is part of what we talk about, like in the DSM with the psychopathology, is also taken into account cultural situations or social geographic considerations and how these things play out. And I think it was in Maryland. I don't know if it was specific to Montgomery County or if it was all of Maryland, but I know it was in Maryland. Last, was it in 2022 or 2023? I don't have the year, and I'll eventually get this fact checked. But 34 women were diagnosed with HIV. 31 out of that 34 were black women. And so they're saying right now that black women are at the highest risk for this. But this, of course, does not negate, like, literally any and everybody can get HIV and AIDS. And so this is the importance of getting tested every 3 to 6 months, whether you are sexually active or not. Like, if you've ever had sex, and even if you haven't, like, it doesn't hurt. That's just like extra peace of mind, right? But even if you haven't had sex with someone in years, still get tested, because unfortunately this is a disease that can go years without showing up. And yeah, it was a lot of emotion. They were talking about that first, and so that really, hit home, being a black woman and just like thinking about how lucky I've been and continue to be, and also thinking about just making sure to spread the word for everyone to stay on top of your health. Like, protect yourself, because you can't trust people. And it's not even about trusting people for real. Like, it's just you never know. Like, there's been instances, I was reading a story how this one girl had been with her husband, and they had a child. They've been together for 5 years, and she hadn't been with anybody a while before that, and she had said that she had gotten tested before and it came back negative. And this is not to scare anybody, but again, like, let me finish this sentence. And it was like years into the relationship, she done had a baby, and now she's testing positive for HIV. But her baby and her husband tested negative, and they continue to test negative. They're fine, but it's just like you never know. So stay on top of your health, because nobody's gonna know your health better than you do. Um, and yeah, it was something that I was gonna say before that, but I was like, let me not lose my train of thought on that. It is a disease. So what happens is the HIV virus comes into your body and it starts attacking your T cells or your white blood cells, which because they think that that is the virus. The HIV cells attach to your T cells, which then make it start attacking other T cells. So your immune system is literally destroying itself. Um, and when this happens, if the okay, is this okay? When that happens, your immune system is weakened, so it makes you more susceptible to other diseases. And when you really think about it, all of these things kind of play hand in hand, like not having mental health services. And one of the speakers, he was talking about how he was really powerful too. He was like, in his 20s, he had been diagnosed with bipolar 1. He had been assaulted multiple times. He just wasn't like, he was just really down bad. He wasn't worried about his mental health. He wasn't worried. He was just drinking, blacking out, going to work, and just, there was so much stuff in all of these blackouts and all these other things. He wasn't taking care of his sexual health. He was just doing whatever to help him feel some kind of release. So that's drinking alcohol, that's having sex, that's putting yourself in not safe situations, spending all of this money. And he unfortunately had been sexually assaulted multiple times, and then he received this diagnosis of HIV. And it's just like how all of that kind of played, and had he had certain resources, maybe things would be different. But I loved hearing him talk, because he was saying, at first I was thinking it was this horrible thing, but everything happens for a reason. Like, this is my blessing. It's put me, he's now he has a graduate license in social work, and he's trying to get these resources for other people, so that other people in his shoes, or preventative measures, because we really want to prevent things, but just providing these resources for people when they need it. And my brother was talking about the stigma growing up of, like, there's so much there. Man, it was a lot, and it was beautiful to hear both of them speak. And I heard parts of my mom's story. I never heard parts of my brother's story. But also thinking of, like, part of my story and all of that, like, my brother was just talking about, well, my mom was talking about how, my birthday changed the trajectory of all of our lives, having this diagnosis. And, at that point, my brother was 5, and one day you're fine, like Mark, one day you're fine, the next day your whole life has changed. You're 5 years old, and now you got to take medicine, but nobody's telling you why. Oh, you're just sick, but yesterday I was fine. So then you get to this part of, like, okay, I'm taking all of this. I don't want to take pills, and nobody's answering my question of why. What happens if I don't take it? So there was a lot of defiance there. And then having interactions with people who were supposed to be family members or being close to you, having these negative reactions to you, and you're like 10 years old internalizing this, like, damn, I'm dangerous. And I remember us going to therapy, and the therapist was telling us about what the virus was. And I remember these coloring sheets where we were drawing the virus, and she was just kind of walking us through how this works. And my brother had mentioned how she was like, this is what you're living with, and you can't tell anybody, because if you tell people, then they're going to treat you differently. And I have vague memories of this. I never really talk much about it because for a long time I felt like it wasn't my story to tell, but it is my story to tell because we each, like, all of these things can be true at once. And it all affects us in different ways. So I remember watching my brother grow up and like trying to be there for him and hold him accountable and remind him of things of, like, he has friends over but he has to take medicine, but obviously we're not supposed to tell people because what if he loses his friends and things. So I have to find a way to discreetly be like, hey, it's time to take your medicine, without saying take your medicine, because then it's like, oh, questions. So I used to always say when it was time to take his medicine, like, hey, the Disney Channel movie's on, and he would be annoyed, but he would say thank you, whatever. And that's a way, the annoying little sister just talking about, like, oh, the Disney Channel movies on. No, we're playing games. Um, and that was like my discreet way of looking out for my brother, and trying to protect this. And I don't remember exactly what prompted me to tell, but Dixie was the first person I told about all of that. And it was because we were at her house, and I don't remember what she was crying about, but she had told me something that happened to her family. And I had told her, I was like, this is my family. And so that was I remember almost being, not being scared, but, well, a little nervous. Nervous is a better word, to go home and tell my mom that I told Dixie, because this whole time, I think we might have been like 10 or 11 at this point. I've been told, don't tell anybody, don't tell anybody. And I told somebody, and I was nervous telling Dixie, but she accepted it. And that was like the first step in destigmatizing it. And so then growing up, my mom, since I was younger, has always taught me about sexual education. I've known since elementary school what condoms were, how to use them, and I don't think that has not contributed to any hypersexuality that I've had. There's other things that I experienced growing up that I think contributed to that. But even still, I didn't I don't think I had hypersexuality in the, like, I did lose my virginity early, but I really didn't enter a quote unquote hoe phase or really start fucking for real until I was in college. Like, so yeah, like, I don't even think I hit double digit bodies until sometime in college. But I lost my virginity many years before that. But that's neither here nor there. That's not what I'm talking about. Um, but I remember, like, experiencing different events growing up, like, oh, I went to do this and I got to do that. And then, my friends would ask, like, oh, that sound that sounds so cool. Like, how do we get in on it? And then I had to stop talking about these experiences because it's like, this is for people who are infected or affected. Like, you can't come with me, you can't experience this with me. And so having stigma in that way. And I remember in high school once, it was like, it was something so ignorant. It was during cheerleading practice too, and I don't remember who said it. It doesn't matter who said it, but somebody was talking about, like, the speech Obama had given the night before, and they said something along the lines of, like, oh, Obama's speech gave me AIDS last night. The most ignorant comment I've ever heard. And I was like, you don't get HIV or AIDS from that. Like, you get it from sex, you get it through blood transmission, or through birth from mother to child. And it was like, well, how do you know that? And so I always had to kind of think on my feet of, like, well, how do I know that? Oh, I pay attention in health class. Or, oh, I had to come up with this other thing because, one, I felt like it wasn't my story to tell. And two, people automatically assume that I'm the one that has it. But that doesn't matter. I remember in college when I was on a board for this organization, and we were having our annual banquet, and it just so happened to fall on World AIDS Day, December 1st. And so, I always make it a big deal to wear red on World AIDS Day. And I had asked the rest of the board, like, this is something that's really important to me. Can we get buttons made? I'm not pushing this on to anybody, but I would like to have buttons and pass them out, and I would like to give a speech. And everybody's like, yeah, like, I love that part. Like, let's do it. So I'll never forget this one guy who worked within the organization, a higher up, like he was high up, and he came in, and I'm telling people today's World AIDS Day, would you like to take a button to support? And some people said yes, some people respectfully said no. And this dude like made this whole ordeal about wearing a fucking button. And ever since that day, I lost so much respect for him. And then there was other things that made me lose respect for him. And it sucked because his girlfriend was so nice, and I was just like, how the fuck did y'all get together? But that's none of my business, because yeah. And so when I gave that speech and I said, this is a special day, the day that I was born, my mom and brother were diagnosed, and like, to see the reaction on his face was just like, yeah, you fucking bitch ass nigga. Like, and so I've done a couple of times where I've like shared that story, not anything super publicly, because again, for a long time I felt like it wasn't my position to talk, and I really wanted to respect my brother. And my mom talked about that too, of like, she's been doing advocacy work for a while, and I remember it was one time at PG, they wanted people to talk, and they asked her, and out of respect for my brother, she didn't let them record her. They only did her hands, and they just recorded her speaking. And my mom was talking about how, before she even did that, she asked for my brother's permission to do that. And he had said yeah. Then when he saw her name written somewhere, he was like no. So everything's just kind of been moving out of respect for that. And I don't know. I'm really proud of him, and he's come a long way. And I think, HIV or not, with so many things, the problem is stigma. Like, we don't talk about things, we don't normalize things, because we're afraid how other people are going to treat us or react to us. Because some people don't have emotional regulation, and some people are just so unhappy within themselves, or unhappy. It's really being unhappy or uncomfortable with yourself, that I feel like you really can't just accept somebody for who they are, or just accept that that person exists. Nobody's asking you to be BFFs and support this person. And at the end of the day, oh, that's part of what I was talking about too. Like, to see my mom was living and lost, like, one of her friends was one of the very first people to die from AIDS. Um, and she's like, he got this diagnosis, and she just talked to him on the phone. And then she found out, like, he had these lesions, it progressed, he died. Like, they didn't even want to come and pick up his body, because they were afraid of him. Like, this man couldn't even get respect or decency in his death because of this disease. And seeing how, she's told me how another reason why my birthday is always celebrated, because it's another year that they're both alive. Because at the time that they received their diagnoses, HIV was a death sentence. They weren't expected to live for past 5 years, or however much longer. When I was born, I had to be on medication. My brother had to get put on medication. My mom had to be on medication. It was all these uncertainties. And so every year, it's just another year that we have survived. We've made it through another chapter. And to just hear how, HIV is no longer a death sentence. It's just a chronic disease. And it's like, you're more likely to die from like diabetes or high cholesterol or something else than you are from HIV. And that's just like, that's such a big fucking, it's sad, but it's a big fucking deal. And yeah, HIV or any other stigma related thing, like, at the end of the day, stigma is the disease. It's what's like, stigma is deadly. Like, making people feel alienated and not giving them the space to talk. And sometimes it's not other people, it's how we internalize things. And my brother said that a turning point for him was going to different groups and realizing that there were other people that had these same feelings or experiences, and being able to come together and hear each other's stories and empower each other was something that was really meaningful to him. So yeah, it was just a lot. Oh, I'm about to start crying on the internet. But yeah, so let me talk about PrEP. PrEP is pre-exposure prophylaxis. So this is a preventative medication that you can get on to prevent you from getting HIV. Like, you should be using condoms, you should be getting tested regularly, and this is just extra protection for yourself. You know, this is not to say that your partner's untrustworthy or whatever, but there's so many different things that can happen. You could be in the healthcare industry and you're taking, I have a friend who's in healthcare, and he was taking out trash, and a needle stuck him. One of the hazard needles stuck him, and that's how he got HIV. Obviously, I know someone from birth. There are people who've gotten it from sex. Like, it can literally happen to anyone. So PrEP makes it so that the HIV cells cannot attach to your T cells, making it, I don't want to say impossible, because nothing's impossible, but greatly reduces your risk of contracting HIV. And so something that I didn't know is that they have now developed, if like pills aren't your thing, because my brother was talking about that. He wasn't a pill person, and a lot of people aren't pill persons or pill people. You do have to take the pill every day to be for it to have the most effect. But then they were talking about, one of the panelists was talking about how, excuse me, that's not for everybody. If you forget your pills a lot, to advocate. Sorry, y'all that are listening. I don't know why I'm like so burpy and yawny today. Um, but there is a shot version that you would take every 2 months called, the abbreviation is CAB, but it's cabotegravir. Cabotegravir, I think that is CAB, or the brand name is a pretude. I don't know, but yeah, you get the shot every 2 months, and apparently they're working on, like inject mm, um implants and other things to lower the risk. So I just think this is beautiful. So, you're a person in a lot of like clinics, it is covered by insurance. Clinics have access to, if you don't have insurance, you can go to clinics. There are several clinics that'll like get you started on the medication. Like, they're not going to turn you away. They'll get you started on the medication and work with you to get resources that you need. Like, y'all really need to start taking advantage or looking into these resources, because this government is shit, this world is shit. Ugh. And yeah, so I know one place that I always tag a lot is, AIDS Health Foundation, AHF. They have free clinics. I know that they on the East Coast. Like, I know there's, Maryland, there's, New York, there's Philly. I don't know off the top of my head where else. I think there's some other clinics, ahf.org. Go check it out to see exactly where they are. And then just look at your local clinic and see what they have. But yeah, we gotta be protecting ourselves and taking care of ourselves. It's a mm, 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 mm. Yeah. Um, I'm going on an hour and 19 minutes at the time of this, but I gotta add the ads in and stuff. Is there anything else that I want to talk about? I feel like I said everything. Let me see. I wrote down some notes about, I talked about all of those. Now I got to fart, bro. I farted the other day in a car, and my driver's side window be taking forever to roll down. Like, I don't know, that bitch just stuck on stupid. And it smelled like a hard boiled egg, and I was fucking dying in that car, bro. Like, oh my god. I don't know why my farts be like OC potent when I be in the car. I'm just like, damn. Oh god, choked on some spit. Ooh, my ear itch. Oh my god. Oh god, that was really uncomfortable. Jesus Christ. Let me see. I had taken notes on, was it episode 23, or was it really know what episode this is about. Oh, okay. Well, let me just say this real quick. Let me talk a little bit about Patreon. So, if you have not already joined Patreon, what are you doing? Join Patreon. Come on now. Um, you will find more shenanigans because y'all love the shenanigans here. There's 3 different tiers. There is house fee, which is, I changed the prices of them. I think house fee is, let me just pull it up real quick. Hold on, quick intermission. Yes. Okay, so the house fee is $3.33 a month. You get behind the scene pole play clips. Season 1, the original, because before I took the break, I used to post full episodes on Patreon, and not all of them are there. Let me see what episodes are there. So, oh God, what is this? Collections. Full episodes. There are 11 episodes. So if these are any of your favorite episodes, let's go look. Episode 4, something burning out here. Episode 7, teach me how to cook. Episode 8, niggas get dick cheese. Episode 9, farting water with Katie and Molly. Episode 11, comparing me to me. Shout out Mayday. Episode 14, experience the nut. 16, surplus to cock rings. That was with Rhea. Shout out Chew. 18, listen here, bitch. 19, super torpedo squirt. 20, bitches be farting. And 13, these rolls getting buttered. Those are all on Patreon from the original season. Then what else is on there? I think, oh, it's not Minisode 6 with Tao and Dixie. That was a crazy ass episode, and I love recording with them because them bitches are hilarious. But honestly, especially Tao, recording with her is so much fucking editing that I have to do. So episode 6, the full version of that unedited, is on. There was one part that I still had to cut out because it was like I can't put that on the internet. That's on there. And it also tells of a sensual findom episode with Tao is also on there. So back to what I was saying. So in the house fee, that's $3.33 a month. You have access to behind the scene pole play clips, which is, if you following us on Instagram, the behind the scenes play video, like the full video of my reels for the pole dancing reels for the month, the original first season 1 episodes, and then some bonus audio. And then in main stage, that's $6.66 a month. So you get the same 3 things in addition, toy talk. And then in the champagne room, which is $9.99 a month, you get all of that plus Tales of a Sensual Findom. You can sign up for main stage for a free 7-day trial. So head over to Patreon, y'all help a sister out, because a bitch trying to quit her job. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to people keep asking me what are my goals. I have so many goals, but essentially a baby girl's trying to work for herself. Okay, I need to make my own money and stop letting all these. Speaking of making money though, so I haven't really been doing much findom stuff. I'm gonna wrap this up soon, I promise y'all. I haven't been doing much findom stuff because I've been in the thick of things at school, and like this past week, I don't want to say I fell behind, because I was just experiencing so much hurt from that conversation with my friend, and essentially it was just like there was a misunderstanding and we could not come to a common ground. I just think we both were seeing different sides of it, and that's all I'm gonna say on that. And I felt bad about taking my nap because I was like, oh, I had plans to do this work, and now I'm kind of like, oh, I'm not scrambling, but my professors be like, oh, you should only be doing like 45 minutes of this. But making art is fun. Being an art therapist is fun because I get to make so much art, but then that's also the other part of it, is like I have to make so much art. And then the writing part, I understand the significance in writing of it and writing about it and the processing of it all. But it's like, damn, if I could just make the art and not have to do the other piece, that'd be great. So because I've been trying to make sure that I get all of that done, I haven't been as active on Twitter. I haven't been as active on my clip sites, and I go back and forth. Like, I'm still trying to figure it all out. And so I did a little bit of pre-scheduling. I think I have at least something being posted once a week on Twitter. The auto scheduling, if you're going to be any kind of content creator, oh my god. So I've gotten a better hang of the podcast and how to schedule all of that, with reels and with YouTube and the audio. So I'm ahead of that, but I just need to transfer that same energy over to Findom. But it's still just like, it's so many moving parts that it's a little bit hard for me. But that industry will always be there, and again, taking time. And I've been in a lot of spaces. I've been meeting a lot of therapists and social workers lately, and that's exciting. The therapy world is small. I met a sex therapist, and art therapy is still kind of new, and so she's like, oh, I know art therapists, and the art therapy community is small. Like, one of the teachers who's supposed to one of the art therapists that I work with, she also teaches at my school. So it's like, and I had met her in my internship before before I found out she was going to be teaching at my school too. But it's just like, it's all a small community, which also, it just having to be conscious of, just always being conscious of the things I say and how I do. Like, this is our third time recording this. Not that I was saying anything crazy, but just awkward pause, because I'm having these awkward pauses because I try to make the things I say sound smart. I repeat myself a lot, and I debated whether or not I wanted to add this part in, because this is part of the reason why I just kept like re-recording, because I was like, oh my god, you always repeat yourself and blah 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 blah. But I repeat myself because I'm still processing the things, and they're still very much relevant. Like, and when I don't be realizing I repeat myself, though. That's the thing. Like, I started going back. It's like one of these episodes that I recorded recently. I was just going off the dome, right? But then I just so happened to stumble across a past episode, and I had said, not in the exact same way, but it was the same idea. And I'm like, but it's still something that's relevant. And in some cases, I have a little bit of a different viewpoint. And not everybody has heard every episode. So if you're a true A1 Day One and you've heard the things, maybe me reiterating it is because, someone else in the world needs to hear that message again and again and again until they finally get it. Or I don't know. But yeah, okay. I'm gonna wrap this up. I don't have any Ask Mango stuff, and I don't have any questions. One thing though, with the whole Findom thing, it's interesting because I decided at the end of last year, I officially started in April of last year. I started the research in January, February. Like, this time last year, I was just, I think this time last year, I don't think I had set up any profiles or did it interest. I think I did officially start in April, but it had been a little bit on my mind. But anyway, between April and December is what I'm getting at. Everything dealing with Findom, in total, I made like $2,000. And I was like, that was over the course of 8 months, which is like, wow, to have been I've been putting in a lot of the background effort, the research and the knowledge, and just putting little nuggets here and there or setting up things. But I haven't, know if I want to say I haven't fully dived in. I feel like I haven't truly found my footing because I've had to put so much energy and other things. So I think, given that I haven't put as much energy as I would have liked to, or sometimes I beat myself up about, but I have to remember that, like, this is a journey. I'm still learning, and I'm still, like, even though I'm not as active on certain sites, I'm still doing that behind the scenes research, and figuring things out for myself. So I just think that, like, I really thought that I wasn't doing much, but then when I put those numbers, I was like, damn, like, that's what I put in quotation marks, bare minimum work, because I was doing work, like I said. But in 1,500 out of that 2,000, excuse me, I burped. 1,500 out of that 2,000 was sins alone. Like, I think I made like 300 on OnlyFans. And then across like other clip sites, or like actual custom orders or whatever, that made up the additional 500. But just like sins, tributes, 1,500, like, so that really put it into perspective. If I just, you know, once I'm able to be in a space where I can put more of my energy into that, like, the sky is limitless. And that's just, and then when I hear other people talk, like, I hear a lot of people just say of how they've been down bad, and then they just kept going, and it turned around for them. So, everything happens for a reason. Mango's message, some people hate that, but everything does happen for a reason, and there's a lesson or a blessing in every single thing. Stigma is a deadly disease, and just, and that goes with anything. Like, we need to have more conversations and talk about how we're feeling, or the things that we're experiencing, because there are other people that are experiencing the same thing. We can't go through everything alone. We shouldn't go through everything alone. And go get tested. Get tested, get tested, get tested. I will down that hill. Please go get tested. Know your status. Protect yourself. And by protecting yourself, you're also protecting others. Something else I wanted to add is, if you are diagnosed with HIV or some other kind of, like, it's not the end of the world. And with HIV specifically, U equals U, which means undetectable equals untransmittable. So if you are diagnosed, talk with your doctors. Talk to caseworkers, social workers, the people around you. Like, go to clinics, find these resources, because there are people out here that want to help you, and that are in this work for so many beautiful reasons. So find your people. But where was I going with that? It's not a death sentence. Oh, U equals U. If you do receive a positive diagnosis, it's not the end of the world. Figure out a treatment plan that works for you. Like, I remember when my brother, like, just to see the evolution of treatment, preventative care, and everything, is like, I remember when my mom and my brother had to take like 4 pills a day. Sometimes it might have been 1 point more than that, but it was like a couple of pills they had to take in the morning, and a couple of pills they had to take at the night, like 12 hours apart. It was a lot, especially like for a little kid, so it was a lot of pills. Now they're both down to 1 pill a day. Like, to see the transformation in that, to even hear that they have something like PrEP to be able to prevent you from getting it, is beautiful. There's some people who have been cured, so we've come a long way. So protect yourself, get tested, take medicine, keep up with your medicine. If you're not a pill taker, get that shot. Advocate for yourself. If you be realistic with yourself, don't just go get on the pill because you think that's the only way, or that's what everybody else is doing. Or even if your doctor is like, oh yeah, take PrEP, take this pill. You telling me that there's a shot that I can get instead? Advocate for that. You know yourself. That's why I had to, even with birth control, like, that's why I had to get off of pills, because I started and I was on it, taking my pill every day, 7 o'clock in the morning, because that's when I woke up. But then when I got to college and my schedule was no longer the same, and that was really when I was depressed too. So if I don't have to wake up at 7, I'm not waking up at 7. My class don't start till 9. I'm not on this day. It don't start till 9. On this day, it don't start till 11. This day, I don't even got class. So no, I'm not waking up. My schedule was really irregular. Then going back and forth from home and school, I'm leaving my pills because I'm just not even thinking about them. It's getting to the point where I'm not taking them days at a time because now my depression is getting in. So all of these things, they coincide: mental health, sexual health, economic, social health, all of that. Like, all of this plays a part. If you don't have the money to survive and eat and put food on the table, then you're depressed, or you're anxious because where's the next meal coming from? Where's the next paycheck coming from? I gotta take care of these kids, or I gotta do this. It all affects each other. So yeah, I had to be realistic with myself, and I had to talk to my doctor about, I'm not remembering the pill. What are my other options? But the Nuva ring, I don't feel like taking a ring and sticking it up my coochie every week. That's more or less the same as trying to take a pill every day. And I don't want to have to do that. I already don't really care to put tampons in. I'm not getting a shot because I've heard way too many. Like, I know 2 people, I think, that swear on a shot, and that was what worked for them. But everybody else that I heard about the shot had horrible nightmare experiences. I'm not taking my chances with that. The patch, no thank you. So what made the most sense for me was to get the implant. I got that shit and never looked back. Life has been great. So yeah, but now I'm like, I think I'm gonna get off birth control. This shit is still in my arm. I haven't gotten it taken out yet. But that's neither here nor there. I'm about to wrap this up. Y'all, be safe, make good choices, and get tested.